All right, guys, on today's episode, we have Jeremy Avilla. I'm sure most of you guys know who this is. He is a legendary powerlifter. We'll get into the numbers and stuff as we get into the podcast. The topic is going to be putting weight on or being skinny guys, basically. He was skinny growing up. I was super skinny growing up. I still feel skinny. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we've done to put muscle on, weight on, just the different phases we've gone through with nutrition. I've helped Jeremy a little bit at one point with his nutrition. I've learned from a couple people. I've done a ton of dirty bulks, a ton of clean bulks. So we're gonna get right into it. So starting from, I guess, I don't want to do the typical when you first started lifting type of shit.
Yeah.
But I guess you've always been skinny. Right?
Yeah, growing up, I mean, before I, start taking lifting seriously, 170 pounds, like around there, and, just kind of always hovering, like right around there.
Okay. Yeah. So then you got into lifting. I'm just basing this so I can translate it to the food part. So you started lifting when?
So probably getting serious about it when I was like 21, 22. I'm 36 now. So even 21, 22, I was, even when I was first getting lifting, I was still about 170, 180 in between. 180 would be like toward the high side, but probably closer to like 170, 175.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about how I mentioned when we were training, like Sam Sulek with the chocolate milk and stuff, how that's not a new thing. I did that. Jeremy did. I'm pretty sure most people who were skinny guys and have tried to put weight on have gone the chocolate milk or the gallon of milk route. Yeah. So I guess explain a couple of, methods you've tried or just something that you found that has sticked, whether it was back then or right now, just something that's helped you kind of gain weight. Because how much do you weigh right now?
235, 40 in the morning right now, like in there. So yeah, put on a bit more weight since then.
Yeah. So in the beginning, we'll start from the very beginning. So in the beginning, when you wanted to put weight on, like what was some things, were you like, all right, I'm going to write out a diet, or did you just seafood diet, or was there any staples that you kept somewhat consistent, even if it's fucking the gas station diet?
Yeah. So, I mean, right when I kind of heard, like in the beginning, the one thing I heard was like, hey, eat as much protein in pounds, so that you want to be. Right. So if you want to be 200 pounds, eat 200 grams of protein a day or something like that. So the only thing I really ever counted from the beginning was like protein. Right. Other than that, like I was just, and would get it by any means. So even at 22, I was not a very good cook. Right. I was not, making a lot of food at home. So like the liquid calories were really appealing to me, and it was easy for me to count. So I relied a lot on drinking True Moo, like we were looking at before, the True Moo, and like getting like lots of protein scoops and like not as much like real food. I'd say like the easiest thing I could say between when I first started, when I wanted to gain weight, and now is I eat way more real food. Right. I do not need to rely on drinking chocolate milk to hit macros or get protein. Like I've built an appetite, maybe like when I was working with you, like really, pumping up the protein, kind of built it through real food. And like, that's ultimately like makes it easier to gain the weight. Cause I think that the liquid calories for me, like they'd be good in a pinch, but I wouldn't be able to maintain it for very long. I couldn't just chug, it might work for a few weeks here and there or to like add a little bit, but I think I might've been overdoing it a little bit.
Definitely.
But I think where I started to like slowly make the transition is the more I got into the grocery store, the more I started like preparing food, but that didn't happen for a while. Like that really took me. So if I started lifting seriously when I was 22, I was still going out to eat a lot. I was, making really basic stuff at home, but I was still just really reliant on like liquid calories and going out to eat and just like kind of just like watching the scale. I wasn't really concerned with like counting calories, just mostly to make sure I got enough protein and then eat as much as I can after that. It's kind of my only like real strategy early on. That was pretty much it. It was very simple.
Mine was pretty similar, but I agree when you talk about like how hard it is to, if you do the chocolate milk route and you do all kind of like a lot of shitty food, I guess, junk foods, it's hard to it's hard for that to stick compared to the real food. And that's something I had to learn, because even up till, I mean, I'm in a prep right now. I've only been like really eating like a bodybuilder for like 2 years, but I love food. So before that, I wanted to eat shitty food. So it was fun for me. I'm like, I'm just going to eat, you know, donuts, chocolate milk, and gain all this weight. But it is so hard. Your weight constantly fluctuates, and you can't just maintain. Like if I have a goal weight, it's so hard to get there with just, I guess, yeah, shitty calories, because like you said, at the end of the night, I might be 250, but then two days from now, if I don't maintain, you know, drinking a gallon of milk a day, my weight just is back down to what it was, and it's just super hard for that to stick. So I guess, what are the main differences? Like maybe if you look at your performance or your sleep, or just even blood work, stuff like that. Is there anything you really noticed aside from it's easier for that weight to stick and for you to maintain it? Is there anything else that you noticed from transitioning to, you know, maybe cutting out some shitty food? All right, guys, quick ad break here. We got Within You brand. We have the Steak Shake, which they're most known for. We have Hydration Pack, which is my favorite product. Fasting Gum, Whey Protein, Keto Pro, all the good stuff. I would highly recommend trying the Hydration Pack out. It's like a liquid IV without all the sugar and nonsense in it. It really helps in the gym with energy, endurance, muscle contraction, just staying full. So use code Kenny10 to save money. We got Rice and Grinds. You guys have heard me talk about this every single episode almost. It's like cream of rice in the orange box, but way more anabolic, way less iron, so it's more healthy, way more flavors. The digestion is consistent. So go check them out, especially if you're in a deficit. This goes a long way in prep or any cut. Blueberry muffin's the best flavor in my opinion. Then you got almond butter. You have honey, brown sugar, chocolate. This is amazing. It's just like any other fat source, but it has a little bit of protein in it, and it tastes a lot better. So go check them out. Use code Anabolic10 to save money.
Yeah, so, you know, we talked earlier, I've struggled to sleep, you know, even when I was under 200 pounds. I have a CPAP now and all that kind of good stuff, but even before I started lifting, I had trouble sleeping. And I think that made it hard to gain weight for me, because I would wake up and it'd be so hard to eat. I would just like, for whatever reason, from like shitty sleep, I would not be hungry till like hours into the day. So I think once I got my sleep together, that's when it became a lot easier to like kind of like get my meals and like my timing right, and actually be able to have breakfast and be able to start to have a bigger eating window so I can actually get the food in I needed. Because a lot of times, like when I first was like lifting, like I had the habit of like skipping breakfast and like skipping kind of like really backloading my food, like waiting till I'm starving to eat, you know? And like that was something I did a lot when I was early on trying to gain weight. I would wait too long to eat in between, and I would have these huge meals, but like it wasn't adding up to as much as like if I have like 4 or 5 like pretty solid meals like nowadays. It's way I can crush my calories, like whatever. It's like it's a lot easier. And like I said, it took me like a long time to get used to eating that much food. But truthfully, when I was younger, I didn't try hard. You know, I didn't try long enough. You know, I wasn't prepared. I would get lazy. I wouldn't want to do the dishes. I wouldn't want to like deal with the mess. I wouldn't bring my food with me. And I still struggle with some of that stuff today, but I do a lot better job of like making sure I have a good meal before I leave the house, making sure I have one when I get home from a long day, and then trying to bring something with me, or like plan like, all right, I know I'm gonna go to Chipotle and make sure I get like all, you know, try to still make, if I'm going out, have it match kind of what I'm doing. Still.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good point too. That's something, if you're a skinny guy struggling to gain weight, I think that's something you should try to avoid, because I do the same thing. Like I'd skip breakfast and lunch, just go work 8 hours, and then wait until post-workout when I would power lift, and I'd be absolutely starving. But then it's like, even if you binge your face off, you still can't get the amount of calories you need to actually gain weight, maybe maintain weight and hit that number. But there's no way in one sitting you're going to be able to just eat or get the same result as if you were to just start eating when you wake up and then consistent meals throughout the day. It's just going to be a different feel, a different look. And yeah, like your metabolism's super fast. So when you started doing that, I mean, you were still eating shit you were still eating a lot of clean food too. I mean, when we were like talking about nutrition and stuff, your metabolism was super fast. So I also think if your metabolism is crazy fast, I think you could get a lot done if you just wake up a little earlier, get your sleep in check, and then add off of those base meals. Even if you just do, I don't know, if you're not a bodybuilder and you want to do like 3 big meals, maybe add in like a snack, or maybe have your base meals, whatever number it is, and then slowly add calories to that. Maybe look at intra-workout. You could add some liquid calories. Just little stuff like that that's going to go a long way if you can stay consistent with it. So yeah, as far as performance though, did you notice anything? Because I mean, I want to say I definitely did, but then when I look back, it's like, I mean, when I was eating shitty food, if I'm being honest, like
still crushing. And like, and the thing is like, you can't, like, we all have a training age and like also our biological age, and like you can, when you're younger, it's like, we know, like you can get away with a little bit more. Yeah. And sometimes it is, hey, if you're younger, like I'd almost say like, hey, obviously try to do the clean route, and I think like the more clean food you get in, you get used to just eating more volume of food. Like you can, you know, like you don't need to rely on like double cheeseburgers to get all the calories. Like you can get it from more just like carbs and protein rather than just these like super high fat foods that kind of just like definitely get the calories in. But for me, like that stuff would always slow me down. Like I would be not hungry enough for my next meal when I did that. So the thing that helped me a ton later on that I wasn't doing earlier, is I tried, like I said, earlier on it was like liquid calories, diet, and then like lots of like high fat foods just to get calories in. But working with you, like getting like just eating a high volume of lean meat with like carbs and not super high fat, at least for me, like it turned out I could eat more of that food more often. Right. I would be hungry like by the time, like, you know, like 2-3 hours later, I was like really hungry again. Yeah. And then the consistency thing of like eating at the same times, training my body like to get hungry in the morning, to get hungry at this time. Like in the first few weeks, I was not very hungry. I was kind of forcing the food down, but then after a little while, I got used to it. And so I'd start to kind of, you know, look forward to those meals and stuff. Whereas before I felt like it was more of a chore, and I was just really like, I'd feel like mind fog and stuff, but just kind of getting used to that food has like been helpful. And then just building my daily habits around it, like going for walks after eating. All these little things that because when I thought I needed to gain weight, I thought I needed to sit in a wheelchair, have someone push me around and expend no energy and to like just eat. But it's actually the opposite. It's like move more, build up my appetite. Like we were talking about splitting up workouts. So like I didn't know it when I was younger, but I did the 2 days a lot. And I think that helped me a lot because it was like eat, train, I'm hungry, eat, rest a little bit, and then I'm boom, eat again, train, and it just like really helped me like that little bit of structure, which I did not have a lot when I was younger, really helped me with like my food and stuff, and I've kind of like built off that as I've gotten older. Yeah, no, I think that's another good point. Is that's probably the one thing I've noticed most is transitioning to eating a lot more clean, whole foods, was the paying attention to digestion. Because if you just lay out your day, you know, when I was doing the, you know, skipping breakfast, skipping lunch, and then waiting, I was basically just waiting for my appetite to get there rather than kickstarting it in the morning by eating. And you don't want to eat, you know, too much in one sitting, because then for guys like us, it's like, yeah, you just ate a shit ton of food in one sitting, but you have the next 4 to 6 hours that you're not hungry at all, and you're not going to be able to get, you know, it's not going to be the same result, the same outcome as 4 or 5 solid meals where you're staying hungry. I think that's something that you need to pay attention to, is not always letting your appetite kind of, I don't know how to word it, guide dictate you when you eat. Because it's also like when I would snack throughout the day, no, great, I had this little, you know, protein bar, but now I'm not hungry for my actual meal. You know, stuff like that where like it needs to be a snack. And that was like something where I would like kind of missed it a little bit. I would kind of like this, now that I'm having these calories, I'm not really hungry for the calories I really need. Right. So like, again, like just like the consistency with timing and things like that, and making it easy. Like definitely like living with Tiff and like having like a partner can make it a lot easier, because you can kind of share some of like the cooking stuff, and just like you have like couple pounds of meat in the fridge. You always have rice ready. Like it's always easy. Like always making it to where I can make a meal in under 5 minutes, and I can eat it in 5 minutes if I need to. So it's like just making it as easy as possible and preparing. Those are things I did not do when I first started lifting. I was kind of just, I was not really thinking about where my next meal is coming from. I was mostly just like kind of, you know, playing it by the day and stuff like that. Not really having consistent meal times and stuff. So
yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that, because then that just backs up everything, and everything is pushed to the last second at night, and it's never gonna work. But I'm also not, like, I see you guys, you and Tiff post on your story, like you'll make super clean meals and then you might add something that's dense in calories. So I'm not sitting here saying, like, I still love shitty food, junk food, I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, for sure.
So I think just finding that balance, I'm not against, I look at like, this is kind of clout chasing, I understand, but like looking at Sam Sulek, he's super popular for eating a bunch of, I guess, bad foods, whatever that means. But I still think that they're beneficial. I still enjoy them. So I'm just talking about the meals that you know you're gonna eat every single day, get that in check, and then whatever you want to add to that, or if you can afford to add in between that, as long as it's not gonna, like Jeremy said, it's not like a protein bar that's gonna be super high in fiber that just holds you back and then, you know, just blunts your appetite the rest of the day. But yeah, I think I'm definitely not against the junk food. I think it's still just finding that balance of where you can place it and enjoy it and just not absolutely fuck your appetite for the rest of the day. So yeah, but is there any, I guess you mentioned like always having meat in the fridge. Is there any like, I guess, tips that you guys do in the house, or just to stay on track, or anything that you like that makes it easier? Like I do like rice bowls, I guess, like microwavable rice bowls, super easy.
Yeah.
Just as far as meal prep.
Yeah, so I mean, we try to just keep things really like simple. Like the bulk of our diet is just like, we have a couple carb sources. Usually it's white rice because it's so easy to make.
Yeah.
We love to do potatoes in the air fryer too. And we usually just try to keep our carbs, like not adding a bunch of sauces that's gonna put a bunch of fat in it and things like that. And then we like to have like 2 or 3, you know, meats, like a lean meat and like a fattier red meat, you know, something like that. And then fruit and like Greek yogurt. That's kind of like really like fruit, Greek yogurt, rice, eggs, meat is like the bulk of like everything we do. And then from there, if we wanna add a little hot sauce or a little like, you know, Tiff loves this like corn salsa from, you know, just these little things that kind of like make the meal just a little different.
Right.
And we're not on like a bodybuilder diet, so like, you know, we can kind of have a little bit more fun with it, but we keep it pretty plain. Salt our food, meat, rice, you know, milk, Greek yogurt, just trying to like really prioritize protein. I think that's like, I don't know, I just really try to think about my meals as like with like protein. Like I need my meals to have at least 50 to like 70 grams of protein. To me, that's like, you know, if I'm gonna have a sit down meal like that, I need that first. And then after that, you know, depending on how I'm feeling that day, how many carbs or fats I need, but I really just start with protein. I just like, if I eat my protein first and I hit my protein, I can kind of like work after that, because that's usually the hardest thing for me to put down. I can put down carbs and fats fucking anytime.
All day,
anytime. It's the protein that if my hunger is off, I'm like looking at that bite like I need a glass of water to put this down. Like
Yeah. Was there anything that you, I guess, noticed from transitioning from, like anything that stands out? For me, it was noticing how my body responds to carbs and fats. Like if I do like the super high carb days, I would notice my body would just start to take off metabolism wise. And so I realized, okay, I need to add a little bit of fat pre-workout so that I'm not burning right through that. And I wasn't using insulin, but pretty much going hypo, like getting cold sweats, and my body just felt like my metabolism was so high and the carbs were super high, but I needed fats to kind of slow that process down. So you have a high metabolism. So is there anything you notice, like when I have a high carb day, this is what happens, or my body likes, you know, high fats? Or
so mostly like my body really likes high carb, low fat, and then, you know, moderate to like high like that's kind of like where like I like feel the most comfortable and things like that. Yeah. But I like to, if I eat high carb too often, I start to feel a little slowed down. It's like, or like I need to take a day every once in a while where like, or a couple meals where I just almost have like keto. I'll just do like vegetables and meat and maybe a little bit of fruit for my carbs, not like, you know, potatoes and rice. I'll try to like hold off on that stuff sometimes because then I'll like crave it again. So I'll give myself usually like a day in the week or if you like, you know, where I'll really just kind of like cut the carbs out and just like kind of lean on like lots of protein and like fat. I'll just like kind of do that here and there because it makes me feel, if I do that too long, like you're saying, I'll start to feel like the cold sweats. I'm like craving carbs, like where I need to just like, I don't try to go that far because like, you know, day in, day out, I'm eating a lot of carbs. So when I pull them, my body it gets pissed. Right. But I do need to pull them, and I do like the mental practice of like, okay, like I'm going to decide what goes, you know, like I'm not going to let like my body feel, I'm not going to let me feeling a little uncomfortable, you know, try to like practice that, you know, a little bit. But I also really do think it helps me like restart my appetite a little bit. You know, if I'm just grinding food, it's nice to have a day where I'm not like thinking about each next meal. I'm just keeping light meals, you know, just really light, like just a very light meal, keeping the protein mostly the same the whole time. That's one thing I try to keep the same is like, I'm always trying to get like, you know, 225 to like 300 grams of protein, like that for me, that's like, I'm always, no matter what, trying to get that in. And then after that, you know, I adjust the fats and carbs depending on like, you know, like what I need and how I'm feeling. And if I'm feeling bogged down, you know, I'll just like kind of do a keto for like half the day, you know, something like that.
Yeah, that's something I definitely applied once I realized it wasn't gonna make me super small, was especially if you're trying to gain weight, looking into pulling back, because one day, even 2 days isn't gonna kill you. A couple meals is definitely not gonna kill you. I know John Meadows has talked about doing even like 1 day out of the week of some intermittent fasting, just to kind of reset everything, give your stomach a break of all the food. That way the next day you are super hungry. Just kind of like we had the low days, like the low carb days, just cycling carbs basically.
That's kind of where I got that from, was doing those low carb days with you. Because sometimes it'd be kind of tough, especially after like the high carb days where my butt, you know, so then going into a low carb day. But I kind of like, I noticed that when I would do that, my appetite would be really better the next few days, a little bit, you know, like when I would like pull that stuff back and then I'd go back to it the next day, like it'd be a lot easier to eat. And like you said, like for me, I've had stomach issues. So giving my stomach a break, like a little bit of a reset, you know, here and there is like, yeah, like you said, it's not going to kill you on the scale. It's probably, you know, you're not hardly going to notice it in the grand scheme of things.
You could deload for a week. You could do the same thing with nutrition where you take a week of like cutting your calories in half and just letting your body kind of chill, reset, low stress, and then go back into the following week and really push again, because it's not like you're still going to make a ton of progress. You're just keeping your body in check, staying healthy. So I think paying attention, just like you do with training and fatigue, trying to manage that. Digestion is something I really have like deep dived into as far as the last year, because I was running into issues all the time because I was just eating a shit ton of fat and a shit ton of carbs, dirty bulking, thinking that's the way to go. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I'm only getting 3 meals in. They're not good at all. I'm not making progress. My sleep is shitty. Everything is just off. So yeah, I think scaling back isn't ever really gonna hurt you, I don't think. But as far as the fun foods, the junk foods that you guys like, how do you fit that in? Is that like a planned day where you're like, all right, we're gonna, I don't know, have our base meals and then Friday we're gonna go out? Or do you just kind of go off of, oh, today was a good day of training, let's go get fucking whatever we want?
I mean, honestly, sometimes it can feel a little random, but I feel like, especially for like me and Tiff, like during like our work week, we keep it pretty tight. Like most of our meals, and maybe at the end of the night, that's usually when the snack monster comes out, you know, at the end of the night. But, you know, we've like, sometimes, you know, if we're like pretty far out, you know, we don't mind having like the snacks and some ice cream and doing that stuff at night. But we try to like, you know, for the normal nights, it's like if I'm feeling that like crave for snacks, I try to like I have like oatmeal or just like extra calories somewhere else. But some nights, you know, it's just easier to put on a movie, bust out the ice cream, and you know, and then that's the end of the night. But I don't know. In the day, I want to make sure that I'm getting most of my calories, like like 75% of my calories need to come from like those, you know, the Greek yogurt, the rice, and like, you know, kind of an arbitrary number, but like in my head, like I want like most of my calories, because it's easy. Like, hey, you can have 1,000 calories of junk like that. I know I can. I can for sure. So if I just like, I try to, you know, pick and choose my spots to go and just like not let it get too crazy for too long. But yeah, I think there's a place for it. You know, there's just so many good sweets and foods out there. I mean, at least for me, you know. But yeah, when you're getting close to a comp, or if you're getting close to get on the stage, I mean, obviously there's, you know, there's no question you got to kind of like cut that stuff out. And you got to find replacements. And for me, what I'll usually do is like lean it off. Like we were kind of getting after it pretty hard. Like, you know, for the first 2 weeks, she just competed. You know, so like usually after competition, we like to cut loose, go out to eat, and kind of do that stuff, and then we'll start to reel it in. And mostly because like I really do just enjoy, like, because at the end of the day, it's like I could have 400 calories of these Reese's, or I could have like a Greek yogurt bowl and all this fruit, you know, and not have like the stomach stuff. But a lot of times, hey, it's just, hey, got to give into the mouth pleasure. You're just kind of just sitting there, you know, you want to have the fun stuff. But yeah.
Yep, I'm the same way. If I was in a prep, I usually find a place for it, but I have noticed where I place it makes a huge difference. For example, like every time I do a huge cheat meal at night or like close to bed, for me, I pretty much stay up all night. I'm sweating, I can't breathe, my stomach's out to here. So to me, that's something I've noticed is, all right, I need to place this shitty food, maybe sprinkle it in throughout the day. And that might work. That way my last meal is like one of my planned meals and maybe something added to it, not just, you know, burgers, fries, cookies, and then I'm going to sleep, or I'm not sleeping at all, not recovering, I'm just sweating my ass off and I didn't sleep all night. So I think that's something I've learned, is just finding the balance of when to eat it, when it's gonna, you know, really fuck me up. But yeah, I'm a big fan of junk food, so gas station diet.
Yeah, I think like, you know, making it hurt less when you're doing that stuff is a good idea. Like if I know I'm like having all that junk food at night, I always like to make sure I go for a walk, like, you know, or at least like, I don't want to have that food within like 2 hours of bed if I can help it, you know, like really trying to like keep that far away from like my bedtime. But yeah, the earlier in the day I have the junk, if I have time to move after and like do that stuff, it usually turns out I feel a little better. It's just like you said, you know, when I backloaded it for all right before bed, that's when like you kind of pay the price a little bit more than you might have if you kind of planned it out a little earlier and stuff. But it's so good at night though.
It's so the best at night, so that's been a struggle. It's honestly been hard, but I do think that for gaining weight, like you said, I used to think, okay, I can't do anything, I need to sit on my ass and just stuff my face, but that, like you said, it's definitely the opposite. I've done a ton of walks, like stand efforting. Mark talks about the 10-minute walks. I've even added, I mean, this off season I was doing cardio, like fasted cardio, just to start my day, to kickstart, make myself hungry. So I think it can be super beneficial to just move more, work out twice, or do something a little bit extra. That way you're making yourself hungry. Yeah,
move more, eat more. I think that's definitely something I wish I would have like put together sooner. I do think that like, and it doesn't necessarily mean the gym. Walking is excellent for just getting your food digested after you eat, building up appetite for the next one. I really think like getting in the walks, and when I move throughout the day, my hunger is way higher, and like I'm able to eat a lot more.
Definitely.
When I'm moving. And I think like the calories you burn from walking is pretty negligible, like when you compare it to like the hunger it gives you and that stuff. So definitely. It's like, you know, you can't out eat a bad diet, they say. So it's like this, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about that movement. You'll be able to eat through it.
Exactly.
It'll help more than it hurts the scale if you're trying to move the weight up.
Definitely. Yeah. Good, Wyatt?
Yeah.
Do you want me to close it out?
Yeah.
All right.
And then just shout out your socials and stuff like that.
All right, All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. Our guest, Jeremy Avilla. Follow him on Instagram. What's the Instagram?
Jeremy Avilla, Instagram. That's it. Simple.
You don't, fuck, you don't have TikTok, huh? I don't have TikTok.
I got no TikTok, bro.
You got YouTube or anything?
I just got the Instagram. That's it. Okay. I'm just on the gram.
All right, yeah. Maybe down the road or at some point when we either train with Jeremy or do something, we can deep dive into some of his actual training and the athletic stuff that he does and his powerlifting background. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know. But yeah, I hope you, fuck dude, I hope you find this episode informative. I hope it can help some of you guys who are hard gainers and struggle to gain weight. So let us know if you have any methods to put on some size in the comments. Make sure you like the video, leave a review on the audio on Spotify, and yeah, until next time.